What up, my freaks? RuinusInsight here with part 16 of my Total War Warhammer 3 modded Hellbeard Immortal Empires campaign. So as we saw last time, Hellbeard himself has returned, bringing with him the new recruits, the Death Shriekers, the Hell Cannons, the Infernal Guard, Fireglaves, what have you, and has fought a couple of great battles against the Lizardmen in doing so. We ended the episode off with RuinusInsight once again under attack by a sudden, sneaky declaration of war against our army. Sneaky because these guys just broke our military alliance one turn ago, and instead of waiting 10 turns, they didn't even wait 2. So yeah, obnoxious actions from the AI, but you know, I've come to expect it, and hopefully RuinusInsight can survive this and the attack of the 3 armies without our labor force in tow to meat shield us in order to punish them. Let's see if he can. Go. Oh yeah, Chaos Dwarfs underway. I am missing the Darklands tremendously because look at this glorious Chaos Dwarfs underway map. It's fantastic. The lava, the oil tubes, whatever these are called, pipelines, whatever, shut up. The rail cart things, it's just good stuff. Anyway, the map is so glorious, I'm missing the actual action as the battle begins very, very quickly. We are taking full advantage of the fact that Gordas gives Vanguard deployment to all of the Hobgob units in his army. Since the enemy outnumbers us 3-1 and we don't have our blobs of laborers, we will attack the first enemy army before the second and the third arrive, rushing it, probably expending most of our high damage dealing dagger chucking precursor weapon ammunition. Was a heck of a mouthful, and hopefully running down the enemy, destroying the enemy artillery, etc., before the enemy's arrival. This does, however, mean we are liable to take quite a bit of damage, as regardless of all the buffs given to the piles of Hobgob sneaky gets, they are still rather fragile units. Looks like this one's already down to about click too far, my bad. What the heck? Where did I click? I clicked through them past somewhere else. Anyway, unfortunately, they are fairly fragile. One of them's down to about half HP and the other one's down to 20%, so we summoned a G'day Fireborn to block the enemy off and back these guys off in order to make sure that they don't take as much damage. Unfortunately, killing a single army has, by the looks of it, activated the 3rd level of the Realm of Souls as the enemy summons a unit of Ushabti right on top of our undefended artillery piece. And this is why I don't feel bad about summoning G'day Fireborn on top of enemy artillery pieces, because the AI does the exact same thing at every possible opportunity. And I never feel bad about taking any tactic that the AI itself is actually capable of. So yeah, they do about 50% HP damage to the Hobgob bolt thrower crew, and we abandon those artillery pieces and back off, hopefully, to pin those units of Ushabti in place with our Infernal Castellan and the rest of our units, and hopefully bring them down before they can kill off the crew. In the meantime, of course, these Ushabti have provided a nice distraction as the 2nd and 3rd enemy army have now arrived on the battlefield and are going to make their battle lines and get ready to move towards us. The G'day Fireborn that had been previously summoned, however, will be able to but it looks like hold some of them off before they get destroyed, and it will allow us to reform our own battle lines and get ready to sort of, oh, that poor lord, get rid of those cooldowns. That's the thing I was going for, but I didn't know quite how to say it. For the cooldown time to elapse, that's it. Shut up. Anyway, enemy Tomb King rushes towards us, but eats so many arrows from, fiery arrows, I should say, from our units that he falls, and the glow in his eyes is still there. Why he's I like to think that he's not actually gone. He's just like, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna lie here, and nobody... I know I find this so funny. I feel like the lights should go out if the unit was destroyed, but oh, the pose. Anyway, that's his death pose. And it's a funny one. Anyway, the fight is a big one and more enemies are streaming forth. The flyers of our army are now going to get hit by a ton of those flocks of doom. Not the flock of Joff, but just generally speaking, piles of carrion. We do use flame and shadow upon them to try to break through a few of them. Mostly just to clear them out. They're not the most threatening units, but with our army severely damaged, we need as many of our units fighting as possible. And while we have cleared out 3 of the enemy artillery pieces, or 4 of the enemy artillery pieces, a new one has been brought by several of the other armies. And you gotta admit, we've been getting some absolutely massive battles throughout this campaign, just like huge numbers of units on both sides. It's actually been pretty fantastic. It's one of the nice things about having giant piles of gobs with the Chaos Dwarf armies. Or just, well, in this particular case in armies, that is a giant pile of gobs, but and fighting the lizards and the Tomb Kings has certainly been pretty darn entertaining, as it's neither our foes that the Chaos Dwarfs are liable to be fighting too much with any of their other starts. Anyway. The bounce power is only at about 60% in our favor. Once again, it's just the sheer number of skeletons. We are still holding them back as best we can with our Hobgob Sneaky Gits, but pretty much our entire battle line is below half HP at this point, several of our units down to 30%. I have grown tired and annoyed of that screaming skull catapult at this point, and it's taking far too long to destroy it with our own range fire, so we peel away one of the units of Hobgob Wolf Raiders and have them take it out. Unfortunately, our bolt throwers are just too weak in terms of being able to damage this thing, so they're not, once again, I've said it before, they're not good at artillery shootouts, so we just use a fast mover to do it instead. And by the looks of it, the enemy melee line is collapsing. There are still piles of enemy range units, but to their detriment, the enemy range units have blocked each other off many a time in this particular battle, and that allowed us to hit them several times as well. I don't know what that was, but I guess it doesn't matter over much. Maybe there was a unit there and I tried to lead it, but failed. I don't know. Or maybe it was a slight desync, or maybe it wasn't. Who knows? The rest of the battle seems to be proceeding without a desync at all, so I don't think it was. Ah, you gotta love this map. The lighting, the lava underway. It's glorious. And it was a glorious fight, and by the looks of it, another victory for Rugni, but really for Gordas and his Gits. The last of the enemy units melt away, and with that, the battle is ours. Very nice. Still annoyed at how sneaky the enemy went about this, or the sneaky way that they did, but a glorious fight. Ooh, alrighty, there we go. We do manage to pull it off, and we'll be able to apparently get a lot of labor out of it. Go figure. Skeletons can be put to work after all, and tirelessly so at that, so yeah, why not? Anyway, yeah, got plenty of labor out of it. We took a fair bit of damage, but a heroic victory at the end of the day. The Vanguard deployment offered by a Morkama's Stout Troll by Gorda's Backstabber there allowed us to destroy the first enemy army, which made the battle significantly easier once the reinforcements came in, but still pretty darn tough. We will obviously take the money, but just out of curiosity, 35k damage on one of the Sneaky Gits, 32k on the Enthusiasts, and 32k on you. Pretty darn solid. Huh, wait a moment. Alright. I didn't name the first one for some reason, but I named the next two. Okay, I'm not entirely sure why I did that, but, well, I did. Anyway, the escapee skewers and the other hobgoblin bolt throwers did okay, but this wasn't really an ideal situation from them. No big, fat, single targets for them to skewer, and no artillery, or, well, yes, artillery, but they're not good at artillery shootouts. No walls or towers to take down. I'd love to heal, but we can't say no to 1700 labor. It's just too much. Alrighty, and of course these guys will immediately start recruiting a billion armies, so we will have to take them out quickly. Confederation between Kohan and Aquitaine. Ooh, Chevalier de Lyonesse destroyed. That ain't great. That ain't great. Reichelin destroyed. Huh, that's interesting. Yeah, still don't know where that other darn Pestilence territory is gonna be, do we? Only we could see somehow where it was. There's a ruin somewhere that probably got pestilencified, but it could be all the way on the other side of the map and we'd never know it. Go figure. Anyway, now... So you don't like the war with these guys, and oh, now you have an agreement with, for the love of, so annoying. All right, we need to rush the Sentinel of Time and make them break that agreement. Of course, and first they hate us for allying with these guys, and then as soon as these guys betray us, then they're like, oh wow, we love you now. Frickin' jerk faces. Anyway, rush construction is gonna cost 360 here at the Sentinel of Time. All right, fair enough. This is the Lost Valley. We'll need to rush 2 things, so hopefully this will be enough. Lost Valley. And transfer. Alright, then we will rush you. Then we will build an Ash level and rush you as well. And we still have 35 labor. I guess we'll transfer it back. Take you out and put you in. Slaneshi Giggle. Like so. Alright, then we will trade you the Sentinels of Time. We want you to break your non-aggression pact with the Deserters of Katep. We want you to join the war against the Deserters of Katep. Minus 7 point now? Okay, fine. Don't break the anti-aggression thing. Just join the war, which breaks it anyway. Yes. Give us your money.
I suppose.
There you go. Alright, now... Gifts 15, all those settlements, and it's only plus 15, and we're still at minus 104, good lord. Huh. And they're back to hating the gifts given to the Deserters of Katep absolutely ages ago, despite the fact that we're at war with them now. I also noticed that they don't seem to give a damn about the fact that... So, wait, they hate the fact that we gave them gifts, they hate the fact that we gave them battle support, but they don't care about the military actions taken against them, which we just did. You make much sense, game. I mean, the game is really trying hard not to allow this to happen, isn't it? These are going to betray us and declare war on us, aren't they? Well. Alright, the Golden Colossus. We could auto-resolve this in theory. Wait, are you... Wait, what do we have here? Alright, there's probably going to be an army there. Are you able to reinforce? You are. Alright, so go here. We will move you into encamp stance like so. You... can now auto-resolve Pyrrhic Victory. I shouldn't have done that. Because now it's going to force us to fight this garbage, even though it's terrible. I don't want to waste the time, though. We could just rebuild some of these guys. Just, wait a moment. How do we do this? Does that do anything for us? What? Now it's killing these guys? What? How does that make any sense, game? Alright, we're gonna have to deal with this. This game is gonna be like that? Well, there isn't too much we can do about it. Alright, well, we'll deal with that later. What about continuing to trade these guys' territory? We could give them the Copper Desert, although I'm willing to bet that they won't like the desert all that much, but it is sort of down here. The benefit of this being that we get benefits from having adjacency bonuses from a bunch of our territories, so... giving them the Copper Desert doesn't matter over much. And I guess we could also give them Kayaks and Stantec because it's sort of down here. You know, near the spine of Sotek, which kind of makes sense. We could even give them Elven territories if we really wanted to. It's just that this means that there's nothing to rush if we want to keep Itza, and well, I'm reasonably sure that we do, but anyway. Oh, you gotta be kidding me. You're just out of range of this? Let me guess, you're all out of range of it? For the love of... Okay. That's annoying, but it is what it is. And this guy's moving this way to where? Probably trying to do the same thing that Gorok did. Actually, if he took the Sentinel of Time, that would be somewhat amusing. Alright, we're gonna need to do some of the switcheroo stuff here. Minus the... Oh, wait, we have a wounded hero, don't we? Yeah, you're wounded. Right. You... Bok, I would like you going this way. Why? We're going to use you as a scout temporarily. I just need to see what's going on at sea. Because if these guys start sailing armies over here, we'll need to be ready. We do have another capacity for these guys. What type of Demon Smith did I do last time? Hashut, wasn't it? Yeah, Demon Smith of Hashut of the controlled... No, compulsive variety. We don't have any Demon Smiths of Death. Let's do a Demon Smith of Death. Like so, and... Oh, good lord, that's expensive. And, okay, you're fine for now. Lord check. Okay, still no dice there. Also, diplomacy check. What are we looking at here? No dice. Trade agreements. No, with a bunch of enemies. That we can't do. Puppets of Misrule. Now, we could peace out with them for 7k, but this would kind of irritate the Cathans, who are now angry because of our quote-unquote past treaties with the Maggot Host and the Rotten Knot. We don't actually have any treaties against them, though. And I wouldn't necessarily want them to cancel their agreements, but 7,000 gold is still a decent amount. We'll wait. I suppose the 7,000 gold will be available later on. In theory. Also, we are at 163. Tower of Jar. We could take this back next turn. Or we could grab one of these. These are too expensive for now. I do like the construction cost reduction, but we can wait on these. We need all of these anyway. And I think I'd rather prioritize this one... Well, then again, yeah, just do this. Do it right now. It's 1% upkeep reduction. We need every bit we can get right now. And always, after all. Alright, now, we have no choice but to do some switcheroo stuff, so let's figure this out. Now, Scaff Growlsh and Abnagg Hellbeard, what kind of armies will we want here? Now, Abnagg, you will want to take advantage of the fact that you have Pestilent Decay and Fetid Stench. Therefore, you will probably want the Sword and Board units. Actually, you will have the Armorer thing, but you won't have Bellicose, and the additional melee defense is probably going to be quite valuable on Scav here. You guys are not all Bellicose, right? Okay, so... we're gonna also be trading the plagues between everybody. But it is what it is. Alright, first of all, ludicrously expensive though they are, we need the Hashut Stark Ravagers. I mean, I guess we could just leave the space and put them in there later. Right? Right. So we'll use you, we will grab the Bull Centaur Renders and the Skullcracker and into this army. You will want to trade off these guys immediately. And maybe take some of this, just give me a minute. Alrighty, army receives plague, I know game, I know. Then, Scaff Growlsh, I guess we'll use you to command the more ranged, focused army with the melee attack and melee defense and bellicose, and thusly... I mean, in theory, being ranged and all, we could have a Sorcerer Prophet command them, give him one of these, but that's 1, 2, 3, we won't have enough for 4 armies here, we only have 3, meaning we... These guys need bellicose as well. Yeah, see, this is why I wanted to do this between the episodes, but, you know, I have to do it now. So, unfortunately, we're going to have to figure this out. Or I'm going to have to figure this out, and you guys are going to have to scream at your monitor that I'm being too slow. But that's life. That's life. Abnagg and Scaff. Now, Izdubar, you will keep these 2 Bull Centaur Torques. I was going to give the other Bull Centaur Torque to a line of melee units. Probably the Blazing Beards and the Chaos Dwarf Warriors. Alright, I'm going to have you take the range units. These guys are going to be acting as the melee line for this army. And this is not really going to be... Well, you know what? You can maybe have the Hell Cannons and grab a couple of Sky Lanterns and 1 War Drum. Like so. Give up some of those laborers. Like so. And you will need space for... You will need space for a mage and 2 Infernal Castellans. There you go. Alright. That's good. And, oh, I didn't trade the Infernal Castellan, did I? Wait. That's your Infernal Castellan. Okay, wait 1 second. Alright, you trade this Infernal Castellan to you. The other one is wounded. And this army will need a Demon Smith of Hashut, which is you. Alright, so you, Scaff, are going to go this way. And wait, anybody have room for these extra laborers? I guess we could send one of these guys over, but you take one of the extra laborers. Alright, then we'll pop the Demon Smith of Hashut into your army and move you this way. Like so. Alrighty, frankly, this army could probably use a Demon Smith of Fire as well, and we would in theory have, we do have space for 2 units. And blunderbusses and such. We'll want a fire army as well, based on these guys' troops, but I'm not going to start recruiting them right now because, well, A, we don't have the allegiance, and although, actually, wait, allegiance-wise, ally missions, we should probably take the mission to kill Tehenowan next. Unless one of these guys is a mission. That doesn't look like it. Alright, Tehenowan it is. And Jade Court till Tehenowan it is. Alright. Then, you are waiting for heroes now. 1, 2, and then you'll have 1 slot to be removed if needed. I like the Sky Lanterns in here and the Death Shriekers and stuff. This army, I think, will not need the Magma Cannons. Do Magma Cannons confer any kind of effect? Oh, they do confer Burnt. Which would actually enable... It would enable the Fire Glaives to do more damage. Darn. Maybe then instead of the Death Shriekers, we'll combine them with... Well, actually, the Death Shriekers do fire damage. We'll leave the Hell Cannons out then. Alrighty, so let's trade this. You go here. You know what? Come to March Stance. You go here. And trade the 2 Magma Cannons for the 2 Hell Cannons. And these guys will support each other with more fire damage stuff. Like so. Abnagg. We will give you the... do you actually want artillery in this army? This is sort of a hard-hitting army, and... Okay, wait. Abnagg, I'm gonna give you the first bull... Oh, I can't tell... Okay, that's Bruiser. I can't remember his name. Give you these 2. And give you not the Demon Smith Sorcerer of Metal. Oh, and we will need another Demon Smith Sorcerer in this army as well. Maybe another metal for the Skullcrackers and the living metal flesh of the Bull Centaur renders. You can lose one of these. Wait, yeah, there we go. And wait, Abnagg, you will want to take these 3. Because we need somebody to armor them up. At least for now, though obviously that's going to change. The rest of this is fine, minus the Sky Lanterns and the Hell Cannons, which I think are probably going to go to a different army, and frankly, you could use a blob of laborers. Alright, like so. Now, Abnagg. Getting there, you have the War Drum, and you will have a bunch of laborers, and you have the Bull Centaur renders to do the damage. We need you then to march this way. And then you, can you get a march stance? Also lose whatever item you have, the Opal Amulet. I'd like you to take away one of the laborers. Like so. Yeah, you're all gonna get plagues. Damn that Earth Father's crown. Everybody's gonna be permanently debuffed by this nonsense, but, well, I don't know if it's worth it. It's basically a permanent debuff on a huge pile of our armies for... a solid little buff for 1 lord. That's the Gifts of Chaos for you, though. It kind of makes sense lore-wise. Anyway, oh, you know what? You should take 2 laborers. Why? Because assuming that we get the Hashud Stark Ravagers in here, that's 1 slot, and then we'll need another Demon Smith to repair these things. That's another slot. These guys will work together nicely. I didn't want to go too much into Magma Cannons in this army, because this isn't the fire army, though it does have a lot of fire. But that's just Chaos Dwarfs for you. And then you're going to have the Infernal Castellan, the 2 Infernal Castellans, which reduce the upkeep of the Infernal Guard due to unethical. Frankly, they could work nicely in there as well, but we'll use these guys as the War Matic and Flash Bombs to help out on the melee line. Alright, it's decent for now. For now. Abnagg, you can't move anymore, right? No. And then you... I'm going to say go into ambush and go right here, just to make sure that we can actually reach Mangrove Coast. Then we'll go 1 down this way to attack them all at the same time. And I think there's other stuff that we need to get, but, well, hopefully you'll be fine. You have a decent amount of damage dealers, and we need a pile of gobs to protect the Hellcans. Frankly, now that I think about it, a couple of Infernal Guard to protect the artillery pieces might not be the worst idea in the world, but again, I want these guys on a bellicose lord, and just like the considered lords, we're not getting too much good luck with the bellicose lords either, so we'll hopefully see. Anyway, you guys all stay as you are. Okay, maybe you can move very slightly forward for now. And frankly, some of you will need to build more of those gob laborers, and obviously we'll need more heroes coming in, but that's all in the future. Alright, that's decided, and I don't want to look at it again, and if it needs to be redone, we'll redo it. You, Sumai, you know what, I'm going to have you maybe... Well, no, not yet. I was going to say deliver some of these units, but while we will do so later. Now, we have raw materials, and we have armaments. The armaments I don't think we can do anything with right now, but the raw materials we very much can. You and you are maxed out. We need more raw materials. Bloodhall is okay. Oh, Volatile should be a pretty cheap upgrade, so let's start with you. We can upgrade Shalanwa Pack to get that iron going, and there goes all the raw materials. Now we have none. Okay. Well, that's dealt with. Blood Swamps will keep the defensive structure, even though I don't imagine we'll get too much good use out of it. And our agents are coming in. We got more raw materials coming in from extended shifts, and I believe it's time for besiegement. Oh, actually, it's just time to directly attack them. All right, let's do this quickly. Alright, I either missed the speech or there was no speech, but I suppose it doesn't matter over much. It's going to be a very quick fight, frankly. It should have been auto-resolvable, so whatever. And we're going to try to clear our way through it rather rapidly. The tower goes down to the fire of the Hobgob bolt throwers, followed by the first of the breaches in the walls, and that added to the breaches that we made just by besieging the enemy settlement. Time to let loose the arrows of the Hobgob Wolf Boys and Wolf Raiders, and target the enemy Ushabti with Great Bow with our artillery fire. Though by the looks of it, their poor accuracy means that a lot of the shots are missing. Oh, maybe this is why they don't do that much damage. Their accuracy is just so bad that they miss like half of their shots. Something to think about. That one got hit. So one of those big ol' ballista bolts just sticking out of one of those Ushabti. And there we go. To speed these guys along a teensy bit, we're going to have some of the Wolf Raiders target them as well. Gotta do what you gotta do after all. And obviously the Ushabti with Great Bow are going to be the biggest threat in this particular settlement, and well, they need to be cleared out. And cleared out they shall be. The Ushabti dropped to about 20% of their HP. All the while, we've been fighting the first elements of the enemy infantry at the front. This time, just for fun, we're going to have Ragni Ungzeled lead more or less from the front. He does have a healing potion, so unlike some of our other lords, we are free to send him into the fray. Funnily enough, a Taurus actually works better for anti-infantry. And I've sort of just been letting units use whatever mount they sort of leveled into. Eventually I'll probably be a little bit more choosy and then reset most of them back to the Lamasu. I just happen to like the mount better. And then Bale Taurus here and there as well, especially in any sort of fire-focused army, because it feels like it makes more sense. Anyway, we have got the enemy moving in with some regular units of Ushabti now as well. The balance power has shifted to about 65% in our favor, and the arrow rain continues coming down on the enemy. We've also hit a unit of skeleton, or 2 units of skeleton archers with the Gehenna's Golden Hands, destroying one and crippling the other, or at least dishing out about 60% of its HP and damage. The summoned Hobgob Cutthroats are out of the way, and it's now time to flood the settlement with giant piles of laborers. We've done it before, and damn well will we do it many a time again as we continue the campaign. It's a tried and true strategy. The only faction it doesn't really work against is Skaven, and in theory it wouldn't work against the Beastmen as well, and that only because just by having the Gob Laborers nearby, an army of Gob Laborers will get easily ambushed and obliterated. And unfortunately, we chose some pretty appropriate times to attack the enemies there, and were able to effectively destroy the clan Pestilence at the same time as the other factions. Granted, this frickin' Tomb King faction decided to irritate us, but King and down. Alrighty, and now some Ushabti have joined the fray as well, cutting down those summoned cutthroats in droves, but all the while taking arrow fire. Another thing I really like about the Chaos Swords is all of their fire arrows on their basic archer units. For some reason, that just, I don't know, it adds to the sort of cinematic flair of the fights. Ooh, speaking of, I do love seeing this, I think 2 units of Tomb Guard fighting back-to-back, surrounded as they are by piles of Gob Laborers from every side. Of course, the Laborers aren't really a threat to the Tomb Guard, but that's not what's doing the damage to them. Ushabti are down to 20% of their HP at this point, and the Tomb Guard are starting to take a fair bit of damage as well. We've also positioned our range units to make sure that they can fire at the enemy from multiple directions rather than one, and to minimize thereby the effectiveness of the enemy shielding. An overcast fireball comes into the center of the enemy line, hitting Ushabti, but also splash damaging a few of the enemy units of Tomb Guard, who in turn are having a bad time as they get hit with the Withering and the Enfeebling Foe from our Lamasu, followed by the Shadow and Flame ability, which admittedly probably clips a fair few of those Gob Laborers, but as I've said probably 100 times throughout this campaign already, who cares about the Laborers? I do mean the units, of course, not the laborer currency, because we obviously need those for efficiency's sake. Anyway, the bounce power shifts to about 95% in our favor, as we drop a third Flame and Shadow down on the enemy below. This is one of the nice things about having multiple follower lords nearby, other than the giant piles of garbage laborers, the piles of Flame and Shadow that you can use, since every lord has that bound ability. Just the one, mind you, but still pretty good. Alrighty, and the enemy Tomb King or Prince or whoever is down here, I think it's a king, is just about out of the picture with a tiny amount of HP. One more arrow, and ooh, that actually looked like he was executed at the very last second by pistol fire from Hergar's Star Taker. Very nice. And don't expect that thing to do too much work, but it did some here. And there we go with that, the last of the undead melt, and the victory, close victory apparently, is ours. Admittedly, we did expend a lot of ammunition at that, but it's just ammunition. We'll have the laborers make a few more. Overtime for everyone. Alright, there we go. Quick little fight, sacrifice some laborers for our trouble, rather, but yeah, the game shouldn't have made us fight that one. Occupies tower real quick, then we will immediately build up the Hobgob mustering camp, free Sky Titan string, nice. That'll come in handy. And Power Stone, Talisman of Endurance, you will probably get this if you ever become a proper lord. Also, wait, didn't we get one of the... I think so. Yeah, okay. Just had to make sure that we didn't have one of our forces, or one of our convoys, rather, holding an item that, is a purple item. And eventually we'll probably give them some items as well. Also, how are you doing? Oh, they're not at war with each other, which is why you've come to... Oh, Lord, Tamarkan is coming down with 3 armies now. He's probably going to wipe Goldtooth out. No doubt about it. Alright, so we need to pick up his troops quickly. What are we looking at in terms of... Yes, okay, that's completed. Do we have access to lead belchers? We have a lot of allegiance, unfortunately, and yes, we do, but they cost 60 apiece. I might get a mod to... I have used it in some previous campaigns. I might get a mod to increase the influx of the allegiance and stuff. Minus 104 still, eh? That's not great. That is really not great. Gonna get worse before it gets better, frankly. And also treaties are only worth 7. Why? Why are they worth so little? Oh, wow. Oh, you don't like the war against the frickin' guys who betrayed us, but you're fine with them betraying us, huh? Yeah? Yeah, you're fine with that? Ugh. These frickin' Order factions, man, they're worse than Chaos. And you're dying. You really wanna... Yeah, whatever, I'm not even gonna do anything about this. As long as he maintains his capital, I don't really care about what happens to the rest of his territory. Frankly, it would serve him right to lose everything but his capital. Anyway, what else do we have to do this particular turn? There's no armaments to spend. At the very least, we can't afford them right now. No Conclave allegiance and no moves to be made. The only thing is potentially to rush the Golden Colossus so that we can build the Ash level, thereby making it more worthy to trade to these guys. You can build the Donation Barrel, however, and I think we'll wait till next turn to rush this, because we can't afford to build it up right now anyway. So yeah, alright, skip, damage building, and then the turn. Let's see what happens next turn. Alrighty, and... Well, the corruption's still going strong in these guys' territories. Let's hope that something comes of it. So I do wonder where Tehennowin exactly went off to, because I can't see him anymore. But we shall see. Puppets of Misrule might continue annoying us with their various abilities. Oh, we're gonna have to send somebody to sail on all the way over there. Which is something of an annoyance as well. Alright, sacrifice to Mathan was succeeds, convoy completed, great Taurus, and let's send the convoy back out immediately. That will be one of the longer range convoys. Are you leveled? You did level. Alright, so let's get you an increase to better scales. Then we'll send you off Metallic Resilience to armaments for labor, Great Hall of Greasus. Although we could send one of the shorter convoys to there, in theory. We got armaments for money here. 7 turns, armaments for labor. Maybe we can send you around the longer convoy, because this one will be done in 2 turns. Yeah, let's do armaments for labor at Grungzint. Why not? Alrighty, good enough. Tech is still being researched. Next up, we will need to rush this place. So, we will need to get 450, which is a fair bit, admittedly. But you gotta do what you gotta do, and sometimes you gotta spend labor. Alright, so what place is this? Oh, it's the Copper Desert, I knew that. Alright, 450 to the Copper Desert. Ooh, Amazonia. Okay, you know what? We should probably transfer some to Amazonia as well now. Alright, let's take away 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. And let's do something like that. 2 to Amazonia, and 3 to the Copper Desert. Like so. Amazonia, immediately pop off, that set an example. Lovely. Then this place we will rush in order to immediately construct the Ash level. I wouldn't bother rushing if it wasn't for the fact that these guys don't like us very much, and we need to get them into more wars.
Come then, messenger. Spit out your words so I can be done with them.
I'm really not getting a lot of mileage out of all of these military actions, but it is what it is. Alrighty. And, oh, Lord Check, come on. Nope. No dice. Alright, Rugme. It is time to move, sir. You need to help with this. They are damaged, but they can probably still keep moving, and we'll have to deal with this. Somebody will have to deal with this, and that's probably us. Ooh, and increased mobility. You. I believe I said you were going to be a sniper, sir, so you're going to go for Molten Cores and snipe. And frankly, the Sundering attacks would probably help the little guys. Stock... We, funnily enough, get out of Briar Sheath, so in theory we wouldn't need it. Oh, you get Stock and Snipe anyway from this, so we could actually trade this for another damage increase. Though, again, I don't expect you to actually do all that much damage, to be perfectly honest. And Cinder Blast Shell. Alrighty. Also, I was about to say we could get the Replenished Troops on you, but you know what, let's get a Steamed Combatant. We'll get more mileage out of it when we attack. You already have Root Marcher. I think it's time at long last to go through Tyrant. And you, sir. You don't need Reforge in this particular army. Final Transmutation could potentially be good against Mazdamundi himself, especially in combination with Plague of Rust. So we'll grab 2 points in Final Transmutation for now. I've been meaning to get Glittering Robe since the start, since I do like the spell. But other things have been more critical. You know what, this doesn't actually give us all that much extra range. I'm going to say move you into the Sentinels of Jati in order to save a little bit of cash. It's a little bit over 300 per turn. You guys, however, can rush ahead. Like so. And if we were to rush this out, we could just transfer 100 rushes immediately and then trade it out, but we need another faction to be at war with in order to draw these guys into, well, same said war. And also, if these guys reclaim it, that's not our problem. Tehenowin has returned to Kayaks, eh? Or Kayash, whatever it is. Huh, I wonder if we should move you past this to knock out these guys, especially since you're going to be good against the Tomb Kings because of all the fire damage you deal, whereas these guys don't care as much. The problem with this is that this army has no damage dealers right now, and we'll need to be looking for some. Therefore, we will need their help to take... They will need help to take Kayaks. And you can't jump over there? No? No, you sure? Nowhere here? Not even here. Well, darn. Okay, unfortunately, Scaff, I think we're gonna have to have you take Kayaks. Because everybody else is going to have a tough time doing it, although you could use a giant pile of laborers. We could trade some of them away from Abnagg. And every single one of you also needs a follower lord, so we're probably gonna need more follower lords. Anyway, I'm gonna have you move to Mangrove Coast. Abnagg, just 1 second. Abnagg, I would like you to march stance here. Dubar. You know what? I'm gonna have you reinforce at Kayaks, and then one of you will go this way, and then the other one will go this way, I think. Probably the best way to do it, or at least I hope it is. Alrighty, and Kigal Barak, you... Okay, this guy has a follower lord now, you can go this way. Alright, like so. We'll leave the Southern Sentinels as they are, and we won't invest in this right now. Oh, and we'll need to also split one of these guys off to deal with the elves up here, most likely. Alright, well, it is what it is. Demonsmith, Sorcerer of Death, I know which army you're going to. You're going into the longer-ranged army. Kolgbok, stay here. I'd love to get you in an army, but for now we're busy. Vindictive. And we have no further capacities. Actually, we have no further money either, but it is what it is. Tower of Jar, we can't steal for 1 turn, so we will just wait. Any trade agreements? Not really. These ogres are on their way out, unfortunately, but I expect that's kind of happening for all ogres. And these guys all want peace. Okay, fair enough. Alright, now, if we transfer the Golden Colossus to these guys, we might get some money out of it. So let's transfer 1 more set to the Copper Desert, out of River Cerveza, I guess. Like so. And rush this. And then transfer that out from the Copper Desert to, I don't know, this place, I guess. Copper Desert to you. Alright, public order is otherwise looking okay, minus River Cerveza, but it'll fix itself eventually, so it should be fine. What is Kulkan Plains and why is it so negative? Oh, it's this place. You know what, let's transfer a couple over to this place because it's not very happy. 1, 2. Kulkan Plains. Like so, and then we will go for set an example. Okay, good. Then we will rush the Golden Colossus, which I already did. Okay, then, oh. We should rush this as well if we want to trade right now. Or we could wait the turn, but every turn counts right now. We gotta give them more gifts, especially since the gift giving is dissipating constantly, and we're still at minus 101. Good lord. Really, minus 25 from gifts given to Deserters of Kotep. We give them 1 gift, 1 settlement, 1 time, and it's minus 25. These guys we gave 1 million settlements to, and they don't care. Ugh, game. Okay, well, I'm just gonna have to keep working at it.
What do you want?
Not much we can do. If we don't have enough money to transfer, but this will probably be worth a decent chunk of change. Actually, I'm curious. Golden Colossus is worth 150. If we rush this... Golden Colossus is going to be worth...
back at me in your crude language if
175. All right, yeah, fair enough. Now, we are at war with... Oh, Puppets of Misrule. 1. Huh. I wonder how much money they'd need for this to work. About 3,000. And I don't think we can rush any of these. I do wonder whether this will be worth more if we rush it. But a higher level building might not actually be worth anything. We don't have any way to get 3,000 gold right now, do we? Wait a moment. We could have, while piecing out with the Puppets of Misrule doesn't do anything for us. We can't piece out with Angra because he's at war. We can't piece out with these. Well, actually, we could, in theory, piece out with Pestilence. But funnily enough, those guys hate Pestilence. Moors is fine. We could temporarily get in a trade agreement, like with Wintertooth. And hopefully, by virtue of not having diplomatic contact with these dwarfs, they won't be mad at it. We could always break the agreement immediately after. Let's give it a try. Like so. And let's see what they have to, if they care about this. Yeah, I don't see treaties with Wintertooth, at least not for now. Then, once again, the Golden Colossus join war against the Puppets of Misrule. Give money. Like so. Alright. Minus 96. Still not great. Still not great. Hopefully they'll eventually count for something. And now we have a money problem. We might actually have to sell off a little bit of our labor just to keep ahead. So let's do... which is our greatest money-making province right now? So it's Jungle of Webs, Piranha Swamps. Jungle of Webs and Piranha Swamps. So money and money. Like that. We'll increase our post-turn money-making. Just for the turn. But it'll work for now. Also, Scaff Growlish. So, well, grab Tyrant for this battle, I suppose. Yeah, you're gonna need it. Alrighty. You guys are... You're able to auto-resolve by the looks of it. I'm gonna hope that there isn't a really strong full stack ready to punish you for this auto-resolve. Yeah, you're fine. Alrighty, and occupy as... Liberated. Occupy as factory. Great Taurus, Reptilian Ravager, Spell Shield, Kulkan Plains, and Settlement receives Plague. Yeah, go figure. And you can go into Masterful Architects at least for now. Need to save the rest of our raw materials because we'll probably need to rush more stuff, and then you can... you go into the settlement. Yeah, go into the settlement. You'll heal up a little bit more. We're actually gonna need to get you some damage dealers soon. We could give you the Immortals, but nah. Oh, I forgot to grab the Hushwood Stark Ravagers, didn't I? Well, I guess we could always... Well, we couldn't afford them even if we wanted to, so yeah, no dice. Alrighty, and the rest of that is good. So skip, and end the turn. Actually now wondering whether we should send Isdubar northward in order to grab these while we send our main stack towards the Isle of Bones, or whatever this place is called. Bone Island. Is it Bone Island? I remember making that joke before. It's gotta be Bone Island. Village, no peace. At least not for now. Spanasotek Dwarfs still haven't cancelled their agreements with us as yet, though how long that's going to last remains to be seen. Alrighty, Supervisor and... you're moving there yourselves. I don't actually care whether you take the Golden Colossus or the Copper Gate. The main issue with this is that... A, will you be able to? And B, then it won't be settlements that we can trade to you, but I don't think we can do anything about that right now. So yeah, you are going to push to kayaks. Oh wait, are you able to push to kayaks? You are, thereby saving this guy's movement range. Alright, yeah, I think we'll do that. And then you will besiege it. And this is not technically a fire army, but it does have some fire stuff. Well, actually, the Banner of Eternal Flame would probably work in the other army as well. You know, just put this on you for... Well, actually, no, it's short range. Put it on... I'll put it on you yourself. This goes to you. And Hellbound Standard on you. You know what? Maybe. Alright, fine. Like so. Then... if you go into march stance here, you might be able to pick up the Hauschut Stark Ravagers for this army, just so I don't have to do it later. Wait. Yeah, that's for Isdabar. Okay, well, give it a try. Go into the Southern Sentinels real quick. And can you reach him? By the looks of it, you can. Grab the Hauschut Stark Ravagers, and then pop them back into this army. Like so. Lovely. Now we have 3 Bull Centaur Renders and 3 Skullcrackers to act as the damage dealers for this army. The Sky Lanterns, War Drum, and the Hell Cannon are probably going to move out. Frankly, I might just trade them to this army, because that'll allow it to have the damage dealers that I was talking about. Minus the War Drum. Frankly, there should be a War Drum in every army that has the garbage piles of laborers, because the additional 25 armor is, you know, considerable increase in strength for them. Yeah, that makes sense. Alrighty, anything else we need to do before we fight? Maybe there is, maybe there isn't, but, well, we gotta fight anyway. And, oh, actually, it's a new turn, meaning, or check. Nope, useless garbage lords. Anyway, you go this way. Abnagg. Dusk peaks, rather. Soon there'll be dust, though. You go here, to the edge of our territory, so that you can still heal up, and we'll head for Dusk Peaks next turn. You can channel, and you will move together with him for obvious reasons. Alright, you should be able to take that together. Frankly, if you could take Schlatzek without us having to intervene with the other armies, that would be just fantastic. Alrighty, and then Dimzada's moved, which means you guys are going to move in as well. So you, going to reinforce, go into uncamp to power up our stats a little bit, and I can't actually tell whether you're in range. We're not in range, okay. Nah, okay. Okay, if I could just move you slightly forward without... Okay, wow. Game just froze there for a second. That had me a little bit worried. Are you in range now? You are in range now, but I don't like the fact that it did that, so I'm going to quick save it just in case it crashes. And now we go in. Valiant defeat still, you say? We'll see about that. Alrighty, here we go. If you think that's a lovely sunset, that isn't the sunset. That's the light reflecting from all the fires all over the jungle as Lustria burns in the fires of industry. And the cult of Sotek will be the next to feel the flames, smart as they were to declare war upon us with some of the other factions, like those darn Tomb Kings, but it didn't help them out, ultimately. Anyway, we're going to start the battle out by bringing down all 6 of the enemy towers, and as we have hell cannons here together with that magma cannon, the magma cannon won't have to spend all of its ammunition to knock down a single tower. Frankly, probably didn't even need to have it help, but well, it'll help it slightly. It'll help make it happen slightly faster, as magma cannons are pretty useless in settlement sieges anyway, so might as well get some use out of their ammunition. Besides, we gotta wait several minutes for the reinforcements to make their way onto the battlefield. And while we don't necessarily need them, I don't think there is also any need to unnecessarily suffer casualties. And as we've seen many a time, the Lizardmen do quite a great job at holding settlements, especially with the piles of Kroxigors and Temple Guard that these garrisons seems to have lately. And frankly, this one actually has... oh, and the Reeve of Crystals, but this one also seems to have Feral Carnos. One, or does it have 2? It has at least 1 Feral Carno, and that is obviously something of a concern. I'm gonna have to be careful about it hitting anybody. Ah, what's that? Oh, and they got horned ones here as well. Yeah, some very elite garrisons here. But anyway, unfortunately for them, our reinforcements have arrived. Unfortunately for us, is just as they do, the enemy pops off that... I want to say jungle swarm. There's an ability that they have which does severe damage. It basically wipes out a unit, and just annoyingly, the AI actually used its first use right here. As our units started to make their way onto the battlefield, with all of them obviously blobbing up, uncontrollable as they just arrive on the battlefield, the AI immediately popped that thing there. It ignored all of our artillery pieces all this time, as if it was saving that ability to use it on our units as they make their way onto the battlefield. So, rude. Tremendously rude. Especially when I try to avoid doing the same thing to the AI when it just makes its way onto the battlefield, at the very least with spell work. But anyway, I digress. It's not going to make much of a difference. We've got 4 sky lanterns to support us this time and lots of artillery pieces, which between the fact that we have hell cannons, magma cannons, speaking of hell cannons, and death shriekers, we've got the counter sort of artillery to a lot of different types of enemies here. Any unit that's going to blob up sufficiently will get annihilated by the Hell Cannon. And any single entity will get obliterated by the Death Shriekers. Ain't it lovely? And the first targets of the Hell Cannon, the Lothern Sea Guard, will get torn to shreds, and then the last running units will get shot and torn apart by the Sky Lanterns. Down they go. Alright, and the Death Shriekers have begun to target the enemy Reviv Crystal with those Demolisher rockets. And this is with only 2 Death Shriekers, mind you, so it is going to take a few volleys to bring the Reviv down, but it's rather slow and it's having a rather difficult time escaping. Or I suppose escape was never in the cards, as the last of the Demolisher rockets bring it down. And I don't mean the last is in the ammunition, because that we still have plenty of. Now this time we have 4 flyers on the field, so a single unit of Pterodon riders with, Ripperdactyl riders I should say, is not going to be too threatening to 4 bulls. 2 Bale Taurus and 2 regular Taurus, with of course support from all of the Sky Lanterns now hovering over the enemy settlement. With our artillery laying down covering fire, it's also actually kept a nice blob or nice clear area around the enemy breach, which is allowing our units to stream into the enemy settlement. The fire glaives have arrived, and though units of Kroxagors and 2 units of Kroxagors and Cold Run Riders have started to stream down the hill towards our fire glaives to stop them setting up, unfortunately for them, the Kadai block them, and the fire glaives start taking their positions. Blunderbusses are also moving in, and the goblin laborers are moving in front of them. Both of our war drums have now entered the settlement as well, but when with 2 war drums we get both the Disdain of the Dragon Emperor and Bastion of the Great Cities. We've also started to set up on top of the walls as well. The more distant units, the fire glaives, to fire at whatever enemy they can reach, and then a little bit closer we have the Granite Guard with their blunderbusses. And I think just by virtue of what this setup looks like now, the AI is absolutely screwed here. There's no way they get through the laborers, much less weather the storm of all this range fire. And the laborers are doing pretty good. 35 armor, thanks to the Bastion of the Great Cities in combination with the 10 of armor offered by the Needful trait. And it looks like it's more than enough to hold back a unit of Saurus warriors. Nicely statted up though they may be. And of course we do still have artillery fire as well. Alright, looks like the fire glaives and the blunderbusses are working nicely together, and I figured if the enemy does get close enough, we can always countercharge them with the Bull Centaur Enders, and frankly the Hushed's Dark Ravagers, since they're a throwing axe unit, can also bring down big single entities or Kroxagors or anything with those big ol' armor-piercing throwing axes of theirs. If needed, mind you. So far, the enemy has not managed to charge towards those goblin laborers as yet. There is actually still several Kadai remaining, though not much longer, and the Carnosaur closes the distance as well, just as artillery comes down on the Kroxagors. We do briefly move in some of our units of Bull Centaur Toryx, but we gotta send them out before they're torn to shreds by our own range fire, or torn to shreds by the Carnosaur. Oh, the Carnosaur loses about half of its HP, then takes a big old volley from a lot of fire glaives and blunderbusses. And takes a nice hit from a Plague of Rust. And being an anti-single entity unit is not going to kill off too many of the laborers either before it gets brought down, though it will crush a few in toppling. The bounce power has shifted to about 95% in our favor, and as this corner of the enemy's settlement is ours, the enemy has failed to breach our battle lines. Or even come close to it. I mean, look at this. Magma cannon hitting these guys and slowing them down. Demolisher rockets coming down on them. Fire glaives and blunderbusses. And then they'd have to still work through the pile of goblin laborers to reach our actual damage dealing units. I do feel bad for the little Kroxigors, mind you. Frankly, Kroxigors would make a fantastic addition to our labor force. They're basically living building equipment, as they're used by the lizardmen. And maybe that's why the Chaos Dwarfs are here in Lustria. They heard about the Kroxigors and figured, you know what, maybe we could use them to build stuff instead. And we can certainly make them build more efficiently than the lizardmen can, refusing to go into an industrial revolution as they are. Anyway, the bounce power is 98% or so in our favor now. I think just a couple more reasonably healthy units remaining, and they have to weather the storm of all of our artillery fire still coming down upon them. And the extremely high arcs of those Death Shriekers makes sure that they can continue firing on the enemy regardless of all the obstacles within the enemy settlement. Alrighty, and by the looks of the last of the enemy units are now routing. Army losses have begun to tell, and now we just have to get into proximity to make sure that the rest of them are gone. So I'm just going to speed it up a teensy bit and cast one last Gehenna's Golden Hounds and a Lothern Sea Guard, a few more volleys, multi-shot volleys from the Death Shriekers. Add a unit of Temple Garden. Ooh, by the looks of it, a unit of Cold One Riders attempts to charge the First Mate's firing squad and does just manage to reach them before shattering and then promptly being gunned down as they run. Pretty pointless to run, I gotta say. And those poor lizards. On the bright side, a lot of our labor force is probably hungry, and it's not like we don't have plenty of nicely toasted lizard to, nicely seared lizard, I should say, to go for, for meals here in Lustria. Plenty of that after all. Anyway, with that, the decisive victory is ours. Alright, there we go, no problem. Unfortunately for the AI, once we had established our range units within the enemy settlement and our artillery on top of their hills and whatnot, the enemy had little hope of penetrating our defenses, reversed siege and all of that. We 15k damage on the Infernal Steel Legion and 21k damage on the Street Sweepers, 17 on the First Mate's firing squad, all of which did pretty darn well. And gotta give credit to the Death Shrieker rocket launchers, which are incredibly good for sieges, and the Magma cannons are relatively useless by comparison, as they're more of a, field battle artillery, whereas the Hell Cannons are good for both. Anyway, a very nice fight, and another tower in our name with, 864, nice. I'd actually love to take it at a higher tier rather than rushing it. Tier 2 is not so bad. It would actually save us 1600 or so raw materials. I wouldn't want to use 125 to go up to tier 3, considering we're probably going to trade the place though, so I think we'll just do this. It'll save us the labor and stuff. To tier 2. We get to keep 2 buildings. Okay, so we will most likely delete both of you, as most likely we will trade this to the dwarfs as well. An engineer's knapsack, sort of battle, also a decent pickup. Plagues everywhere, but that's not stopping anytime soon. And it's just gonna have to run its course and hopefully be away from the, the lords that force the plagues to, plague more. Yes. Nailed it. Anyway, with that, I think, though, we are out of time, and this is probably going to be the good place to end the episode here. It looks like Mazdamundi has kicked the Cathians off of the Isthmus of Lustria, and thus we're going to have to move northward towards them. But fortunately, if they're moving back, it'll give time for RuinusInsight to move up there. I'd love to build a sort of purpose-built army to fight Mazdamundi, but I think, considering how strong Arcan is, it's most likely him that we're going to have to be worried about much more. And frankly, there's probably still a lot of armies of the Deserters of Kotep or Deserters of Kotep that we're going to have to deal with. Plus there's the Elves, so still a lot of stuff to do, and this remains quite concerning. The friendliness of these guys, that is. And you still don't like the fact that, despite the fact that we're fighting them, you still don't care. You're fighting them, and you have a minus 33, but you're not appreciating our efforts against them. The heck? I guess that's the aversion for you. Well, either way. We'll just have to deal with it, so stay tuned for more Chaos Dwarfs. Don't forget to leave those likes and comments below. All glory to the algorithm, and thanks for watching.